Doctor Strange is the 14th movie in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, and is the second movie in Phase 3 after Captain America Civil War. Basically, this movie is about Dr. Stephen Strange, the Michael Jordan of surgeons, whose whole career hinges on not only his brilliance, but his very steady hands. But after a tragic car accident, his hands get smashed up pretty bad, and he becomes the Michael Jordan of baseball. As with these archetypes, he is a man who is brilliant, very wealthy, but lacks a little humanity, a bit like Tony Stark. But after a tragic event which basically brings his world crashing down, he has to reevaluate his life, a bit like Tony Stark. So he goes looking after for an answer to his problem, mainly his now bunged up hands. He finds a solution that not only gives him clarity on his purpose in life, but ultimately opens up his worldview, a bit like Tony Stark. So basically this is the Iron Man story, except you switch out the Iron Man suit with magic, and there is a lot of magic in this movie. So what did I like about this movie? Well, quite a lot actually. But after 14 films, this movie still suffers from the same issues as its predecessors. So, what did I like? The visuals. This movie is unlike anything visually you've seen before. It really feels like you're watching an Escher painting come to life. You know, those paintings that mess with your mind. You're not really sure which is up or down. Anyway. The background morphs and twists in ways you've never seen before. There was a scene where Stephen meets the Ancient One for the first time and she transports him through all these dimensions. I mean, that scene just blew me away. It literally made me sit up out of my chair. I was so astounded. A lot of people were comparing this to Inception, but man, Inception has nothing on this movie. This is a whole nother level. Kind of wish I saw it in 3D now, and to Marvel's credit, it didn't feel like the visuals were just visuals for visuals' sake. Unlike some other directors I won't mention here, like, let's call them Zed Snyder. Wait, maybe that's too obvious. We'll call them Zach S. Secondly, Tilda Swinton. Tilda Swinton, as the Ancient One, was really, really good. I really enjoyed this character and thought Tilda brought a lot more depth than what was probably written on the page. I really like the fact that they went to Kathmandu, like they actually went to real locations. There was a scene where Stephen's walking around the streets and they're just following him through the streets of Kathmandu, and man, you really feel like you're there. The cape. Look, I'm not going to spoil it for you, but when you see it, you'll understand. That cape. Woo! Number 5, the action. What I really liked about this movie, it seemed very reminiscent of The Matrix. I mean, it was always going up and down, left to right. It was very disorientating in some respects, but it was really, really fun to watch and really, really inventive. And I haven't actually seen action sequences this inventive on this kind of scale in quite some time. Unlike some other directors who directed a movie about two superheroes who are fighting each other, who shall not be named. Alright, now onto the things I didn't like about this movie. First off, the music. Why are they giving us such run-of-the-mill music for all these Marvel movies? I can't for the life of me remember any of the music from this film. If you told me to hum it, I wouldn't be able to remember it. It is so stupidly forgettable. Which I guess is they do it on purpose with these Marvel movies, but seriously, why are they doing this? Like, what is the reason? In fact, I remember there was one particular scene where Dr. Strange got pushed down the stairs out of shot, and then he rises back up out of the stairs, like floating there, and it was an amazing moment, and they needed a really great musical cue. But they just put the most bland horns over the top of it. And it was so boring, and I was like, man, a completely missed moment. The villains. Now everybody complains about the Marvel villains being two-dimensional, but seriously, are they just never going to change these villains? Mads Mikkelsen's character is fine, I guess, but again, is another thing Marvel seem to continue to do over and over again. Churn out a serviceable villain that isn't particularly motivated by anything except to be bad. It's like no one is asking any questions about what motivates these guys to be bad. No inciting incident. I mean, if you look at the MTU, the Marvel Television Universe, Wilson Fisk, aka the Kingpin, has a horrible inciting incident in his childhood, which leads him on a path to become a villain. And because of that incident, you know that every action that Fisk takes is completely motivated by that incident. I mean, look at all the bad guys over the years from Marvel. And to be honest, the only villain that seems a bit more than serviceable was Loki, because he has a genuine reason to be pissed. He was promised the throne and got taken away. But other than that, the MCU is pretty content to just create villains for the 2-hour time slot they were created for. Underused supporting cast. You had some pretty good supporting cast members in this film, and they could have been played by anybody. I love Rachel McAdams a lot, but when it comes to a character I'm going to remember in a movie, she wasn't given much to do apart from establishing that Steven is a heterosexual man. To be honest, they probably could have taken all his scenes out and the movie would have just been fine. Although I'm glad they didn't make her a damsel in distress, I'll give them that, but honestly, what was she doing in this movie? Same with Chiwetel Ejiofor. I'm sorry if I mispronounced that wrong, Chiwetel. Although his larger role becomes more apparent at the end, but other than that, he is just kind of there. He's not even that good a friend to Steven. He's just there. In any case, it's not Chiwetel's fault, it's just a bland character. So should you go see this movie? Absolutely. This movie is amazing. I mean, there are lots of good reasons to see this movie. Now, if I had to give it a rating, I would say that this is probably a really good entree, pretty decent main meal, and an okay dessert. And if I were to rank this movie in the MCU, it would be a solid number 5 out of the 14, right after Avengers 1, but before Winter Soldier. So what do you think? Do you think what I said was fair? Do you think Michael Jordan was a good baseball player? Hit up the comments and let me know. Peace!
What's this, my mantra?
The Wi-Fi password. We're not savages.